Grace, mercy, and peace may be multiplied unto you. This is Apostle Elliott, and I want to give a word of revelation on a simple word that's used in the Bible, and that word is war. War. Now, this word manifests both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. So, in this sitting, I'm able to give you the Hebrew word for it as well as the Greek. But in that, what I want to bring to your attention regarding this word is the variance of it, which really resonates with us in the New Testament. If I defined it from the Hebrew, which is in the Old Testament, I think one of the first references that we'll find it pop up in the Old Testament is in the book of Numbers, around the 21st chapter and the 4th verse. And there forward, when you see the word war come up, it's usually the same word and the same meaning, which is Melchama. And Milkama means fighting. And we can take that in the literal sense, in the physical realm, as fighting, whether we're talking fist fighting or whether we're talking using weapons. However, in the Greek, the word is polemos. Polemos. And in this, when we begin to look at it in the Greek, there's very few Greek words that have a variance of more than one meaning. So in that, I want to bring to your attention, if we're taking the word in the literal sense, then it means the same thing, to fight, just like Milkama does in the Hebrew for the Old Testament. However, when we look at it in spiritual application, and I have to bring that to your attention because once again, in the New Testament, when we find war, it's not so much talking about the physical, it's talking about the spiritual. Meaning, as the scripture says, we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Okay, and some of the other scriptures that we find this word war, especially when it's in association with us, as one looks at Matthew chapter 24, one looks at Mark chapter 13, verse 7, or Luke chapter 21, verse 9, we find this word war come up again in spiritual context. So when we look at it in the spiritual context from the Greek, it means to have a dispute or to have a quarrel. Watch this, within oneself, or it becomes a war within oneself or struggle based on hearsay or what someone has heard, or based upon something that now conflicts with what one has presumed to be at peace with as to what their truth is. So what I'm bringing to your attention is when you use war in the New Testament in the spiritual context, according to a person, it's actually about what emotionally is going on, or mental war that an individual is going through, more so than a physical war. Just like in Matthew 24, when it says there are wars and rumors of wars, we would translate that and think that it's referring to physical battle or physical fighting, but it's in the context of spiritual war within one, because one now debates within themselves as to what they've heard or what has been said that now contradicts what they have already said was their truth, or what they've said, and become at peace with, because they believe that as being right versus wrong. Now, I'll bag this up because when you turn around, you look at it in Luke chapter 21, verse 9, there's a variance. In Matthew 24, verse 6, it says there's wars and rumors of wars. In the book of Luke, it says there's wars and commotions. So the word commotion, if I may bring it to your attention, is akatastasia, which means disorder. It means confusion. It means instability, that is talking about the internal. Now, looking at Luke chapter 21, it's the same correlation as Matthew chapter 24. So this should bring it together for you that once again, as Matthew 24 is talking about wars and rumors of war, it's talking about an internal battle, a mental battle, because it matches up with what Luke 21 is saying about there's wars and commotions meaning those things that now come as a quarrel within you now causes a mental conflict of instability or confusion based on something now warring or going in opposition to what one has already preconceived as their truth. So, in that, I pray this was a profound word of revelation regarding the word war in the spiritual sense, to bring you another level of revelation versus only interpreting it from the natural as we normally do. Amen. So I pray this word of revelation blesses you, brings you to a greater place of clarity and understanding of some of the terms that we use in the Bible in order to grow us for the greater good of the kingdom. Amen, amen, and amen.